Project Zomboid is a notoriously difficult game with a huge learning curve for new players. The learning curve can be so steep that some new players may find it daunting or the inability to make progress too frustrating. I was one of those players. I found out about this game, I played a few hours and I couldn't survive the first day. It just felt impossible and it just felt like I'd never have the skill to progress more than a few steps outside my starter house. The problem is, I love the game. I love how detailed it is. I love how it provides you with freedom and choices to play whichever way you want. I love the atmosphere, I love its complexity, but none of that matters if you can't survive day one. Well, I decided one day that I wanted to make it my mission to become competent at this game. If the game was mediocre, there's no way I would have spent the time trying to get good, but I felt this game was worth suffering through the learning curve to at least survive a few weeks in game. And a developer that seems to serve its veteran players sounded like a refreshing change to me. So I come to you with this guide as someone who has 100-ish hours in Zomboid. So with some fresh eyes and recent experience of battling through that barrier to entry this game has, I'm still learning so much about the game, but I am pleased to say I can survive a few weeks on Apocalypse Settings. And I'm here today to share with other new players how I managed this in the hope that I can help others make progress and enjoy this amazing game. There's a few basic points I'm going to cover to begin with, and at the end I'm going to talk about the big thing that I think the main reason I managed to learn the game is, that I haven't seen many other people really talk about, so stay tuned for that. So traits. I'd say take the time to study the traits and try and build something that suits the way you want to play. The first few times I played, I didn't even pick any professional traits, because it felt like too much to learn. But these things can really help boost your survival chances. If you're interested in my go-to at the moment, I like the Lumberjack profession with Brawler and Strong, which gives me a huge boost to long blunt and axe combat. And I balance that out with High Thirst because I've never found water hard to come by, Prone to Illness because I've yet to experience any negative effects from this, Smoker because it's easy enough to manage once you've found your first pack of smokes, and Slow Reader because I can speed up time when I'm reading. But there are all sorts of combinations here that will suit different styles, and I'd encourage you to find what works for you. Melee combat. Melee combat was something that took me a long time to get the hang of. Something about holding in right click and trying to engage in combat just seemed really odd and unnatural to me. But you do get used to that over time. The main thing that helped me was when I discovered turning on the aim outline to any weapon actually highlights the zombie you're engaged in combat with, even when in melee mode. This can be so helpful when starting out, because if there's more than one zombie approaching and you don't know which one you're about to swing for, it can really throw you off and lead to disaster. I still play with the setting on now and I can't recommend it enough. You don't have to take every fight. On the combat note, this game is not like a lot of others, where you need to take every single fight and clear every enemy in every situation. There will be times early game when you are a new, weak character and there will be a crowd of zombies down the road. The play has to be calling over one or two at a time, chipping away at them, or simply avoiding them because you will get overwhelmed if you try and take on too many too early. On this point, I'd personally recommend not using firearms early game, as this is a great way to draw attention to yourself. The moment a fight or situation feels overwhelming, turn and hightail it out of there. Spawn location. Probably best to start at Riverside when you're a new player. It's got low population compared to the other starting towns, and it gives you the opportunity to explore and learn the game without being too overwhelmed. Also, avoid West Point. I made the mistake of starting there once and the population is just crazy high. Best avoid that until you've got a few more Zomboid hours under your belt. Just a quick note on what you should be looting. If we're talking surviving a few days and making progress, making it past day one really, best just to focus on food, water and melee weapons to keep you alive. Keep an eye on the durability of your weapon, because that first frying pan probably won't last too long as a weapon. Of course, things like always checking bookcases for useful books or boost XP gains for certain skills and unlock useful recipes like the generator book, but this guide is more about basic survival for new players. I can look at making a different guide for mid-game or what to do after the first week if that's something that interests anyone, let me know. Sandbox Settings. This is the main reason I was able to progress and learn, and it's the thing I was talking about at the start of the video. But it's more like several little reasons than one reason. My first few runs I played on default apocalypse settings, and I was just not making progress. I'd survive a day, maybe 2 or 3 days, if I was lucky. But being so new to the game, I'd constantly die and have to start over, and this can get so frustrating as a new player, because it's really disheartening not making any progress and just feeling like you're stuck. Sandbox Settings lets you change all manner of things. If you're struggling to make it past your first day, here are some suggestions for settings you can change. Make zombies weaker and slower. Make them have worse sight and hearing. Give them a shorter memory. Make your enemy less of a threat so it doesn't take 15 shots with a saucepan to take down your first zombie. Turn infection off. But note, you can still die to wounds and bleeding out, but turning off infection is one less thing that can get you early game. You can even lower the overall population. Try turning down all these settings if you're really struggling, just to give yourself a chance to progress and learn the game. It will still be hard, it will still be challenging, but it gives you more of a chance and you're more likely to see that progression. Each time you survive a bit longer than the last time, try turning up another thing. This is what I did, and it was honestly the turning point that allowed me to learn melee, learn what to loot and just how to survive generally. I'm now able to survive on apocalypse settings, but without first going into Sandbox and lowering everything, I don't know that I would have ever got to that point. And this is just something I never see anybody talking about. It's all about how to survive apocalypse. Sandbox is there for a reason. Let's utilize it. This game is amazing, and I truly believe part of what makes it amazing is that it is so complex and difficult. The fact that the devs seem to cater to long-term players and don't dumb everything down and strip out the complexity means the player base is a loyal one that will put loads of hours into the game. And once you're able to survive and get over that first initial learning curve, it really is something that you can immerse yourself in and enjoy. It took me a lot of hours to get here, but I'm glad I did it. I hope this video helps others ease themselves into Project Zomboid. Let me know in the comments if you have any tips or tricks for new players. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content. There's a few playlists featuring playthroughs on the channel where I'm learning the game that you might enjoy. Thanks a lot, have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.